Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by Frans Mlambo. After his recent announcement that he's signed up to the PFL, he's going to be competing in the bantamweight tournament, the European bantamweight tournament, a little bit later on this year. Frans, we will discuss that in a little bit. I just want to kind of pick your brain as to what's been going on really over the last little while with you, man, because you've come from a very successful year in 2021. You know, obviously picking up the FEN title, picking up the Combatche Global kind of title, kind of tournament with champion winner per se, to going into 2022 and not competing at all. So it must be crazy to kind of going from probably one of your most successful years in professional mixed martial arts to the next year not even fighting at all. So how crazy was that to kind of make an adjustment to?
Yeah, man, it's just like it's like I've literally had like growing up and stuff. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy. Like I've had some hard times, but last year, man, I just like not like everything just fell apart. Literally, like I'm 31 years of age now, right? And it felt like literally everything that like I've built or have done anything with like for my entire life just fell apart. Like, do you know what I mean? Is yeah, obviously the start of the year um began flipping. I wasn't supposed to have that going on till May, like of till
Yeah.
May was supposed to, I was supposed to be fighting for the Combatchi title in May
Yeah.
after winning that one there in December. And so that's December 21. And May, for the first time, I actually had to pull out of a fight in my whole career. Like I keep saying that, like I've done boxing, kickboxing, flipping, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, amateur MMA as well. And I've never once had to pull out of a fight. And I had to pull out this time because I had a weird injury. Like I wasn't sure if it was my rib or my liver or something. There was something going on. I still never really figured out what it was, but it was enough to take me out of the fight anyway. And then that fight was rescheduled for April. April came along. They tell me that the guy is pulling out because he got injured, but he got injured doing a kickboxing tournament or something like ridiculous. 5 weeks outside of a title fight. Do you know what I mean? I was like, well, that's crazy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't want to be waiting extra long and stuff for this because whatever way it was working out, like if I would have got that title for if I'd have gotten that title at the time, it actually would have would have worked against me career wise because I would have had to stay there for a long time. You know, contracts get extended when you win titles and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
if I would have won that, which I was going to win it, I would have had to stay there a bit extra longer. And being at a stage where I am, I kind of want to progress like quick. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm 31 now, and I want to get things moving. Like I can't be fighting for like the same type of money, for example, that my little brother is fighting for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
100%.
what's it called? Um, Do you get me? Do you get me? So being in that organization, it was good. Like, and but what kind of drew me into the organization in that first place was activity, and it was coming to April now, and I still hadn't had a fight. You know what I mean? Halfway through the year, nothing going on. Obviously, this and that, but there's things that I feel like the organization could have did to keep me active, and it just wasn't done because they were pushed to keep me fighting for the title, which made sense for them, but it just didn't make sense for me. You know, I mean, I can't really blame them for that. They needed me to fight, get that title or whatever, and you know what I mean. Anyways, long story short,
Yeah.
that never happened. And then from then on, I was kind of like, look, if I'm gonna have to be waiting extra long and then to get that title, and then have to wait longer to get out of it, the whole thing, it wasn't working out. Like it was going against my plans. You know what I mean? The plans I had for my future. So I worked on getting out of that contract. I signed with first round, and we got working on getting out of that contract. That all worked out. But while all this is happening, man, in the background, everything is just falling apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Flipping auntie's dying, like the woman that raised me is dying. Just like relationships are ending. It was crazy, man. It's just like literally there was one point, right? Well, obviously, then after getting out of that contract, actually, just to backtrack a bit, just actually get after getting out of that contract, I was like, right, I can move on to something now, super quick. I can get onto the PFL, try to get onto the UFC, try to do something like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm free. I'm a free agent now. It shouldn't be hard to get on. And then for months and months, we were going back and forth, um, like trying to renegotiate with different things in that, like PFL and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hear then that the Ultimate Fighter is an option. Which when I heard it, it was bittersweet because if you'd have asked me that a year before, I was like, nah, that's not the route I want to go to. If I want to get into the UFC, I don't want to go through all that. Like I've already, you know what I mean? At the current position I was in, I was 5 fights. I'm on a 5 fight winning streak. I was ranked on Bellator before I didn't get signed and stuff because of other alternative kind of things that I had nothing to do with. And so I was winning. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be going through the Ultimate Fighter and all that kind of stuff. I felt like I was seasoned enough to go directly in. Do you know what I mean? And that didn't happen. So the Ultimate Fighter was there. We worked on getting on that, like had a good bit of help. I don't know if I could say who helped me, but he
Yeah.
knows who he
Yeah.
is. You know who he is. He helped me quite a lot, man, to get me on there. And eventually, after a good bit of grafting, we got on to. We actually, first of all, we got on to the PFL, but the offers weren't great. You know what I mean?
For,
It was a good opportunity, but the offers weren't great. And then we got on to the Ultimate Fighter. Then eventually they pulled some tricks, squeezed me in, and I was like, right, finally, now I'm in, right? But actually, actually, right. So right, so I find out about after a few weeks of going back and forth with these two organizations, like I for like months, maybe weeks on end, right? Nothing's really happening. I mean, there's a bit of leeway here and there, but nothing's really happening. And so this one day, I get a call to get interviewed for the Ultimate Fighter to see if they can squeeze me in and stuff. The
right.
interview goes perfectly well. Got on to the Ultimate Fighter, and then they were like, "Yeah, we'll send you out stuff. You need to get your tests and all done. We'll try to get this all sorted." I was like, "Lovely, finally something's worked out." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was working on, you know what I mean, getting my blood work done. I rang the doctor straight away, Dr. Ronan. I was like, "Ronan, please help us out, mate." He's clicked. He was on it like straight away, and but then a few hours after that, I find out that I'm after getting onto the Ultimate Fighter, and or at least there's a good chance. You know what I mean? There, and I'm in the process of getting the whole thing done, and that I get a call from my management, and they're like, "Here, look, the PFL just made you a good deal." I'm like, right, and I was like, "What?" Right, and they're like, "Yeah, man." They're like, "Here, look, we went back, we were talking to them. They like you, and they just made you a good deal. So what's the story?" I was like, "Mate, are you flipping kidding me?" I was like, "I'm after been waiting a whole year for news, and I get onto the Ultimate Fighter, and then I find out I got a good deal from the PFL on the exact same day, within the space of a few hours. Like, do
Crazy.
you know what I mean? But I was like, oh, I was sitting there. I was like, how is this happening? Because for a year, like more than a year, it was actually like a year and a few months.
Yeah.
Not a word about any fight, nothing, right? And then on the exact same day, I have an option now of the Ultimate Fighter and the PFL, and it's a hard choice because obviously we know about the PFL, we know about the UFC and the opportunities that come from that, and of all every MMA fighter wants to eventually be in the UFC, and Ultimate Fighter was going to be my chance to do that. And then the PFL was offering really good as well, you know what I mean? So I was like, well, offering more kind of like because I was at a stage where I'm chasing the finances, the whole
For sure.
popularity and the prestige that comes with the UFC isn't really something that I want right now at the stage I'm at. I just need to get my life going. I need to start, like I've been saying it for ages, that I'm trying to start a family,
Yeah.
and so finances is what I need right now to do that. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like
it's a long shot now because that whole shit's up. You know what I mean?
we if I
What are you
may
saying?
just
Saying?
step in, and let's go back. There's lots to unpack there, and we'll cover everything and the decision making between PFL, UFC, and Ultimate Fighter, and everything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
France,
yeah.
going back to Combatche Global, and you winning that tournament, taking the $100,000 prize fund. A lot of people would say, "Oh, he's set. That's why he didn't fight in 2022 because he won that money." But when you break down tax fees, you break down management fees, gym fees, I can guarantee you, I've heard it time and time again with other fighters. I bet you a lot of that 100,000 that you won from Combatche, that didn't last too long, and I bet you it was whittled down to a fairly small number by the time you got to see the final check.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was flipping. It was mad. Like, like I just won 100 grand. Well, first of all, when you get the check, like, look, the thing is, this is just the reality of, I mean, the reality we're in. That taxes, you know what I'm saying? Everybody deals with it. It's not like you know what I mean, I was especially screwed by it, but it's just seeing it like that in your face for the first time is kind of like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? Because you get the check, it isn't 100 grand. Clearly, that's just how it works, but it still hurts regardless, you know. And then obviously, yeah, you have to pay off folks, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean, camp isn't cheap, so I had racked up a bit of I owed out a bit of money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
You just do. Camp costs, like, you know what I'm saying? So I owed out a bit of money, and yeah, but like that 100 grand, man, just disappeared. And then obviously things happening at the time. My dog was real sick. We didn't want to let him go, so spent a lot like on like hospital bills, vet bills, and all that kind of stuff. He had to like get chemo, all types of madness. Um, so and other things like bills, all that kind of stuff.
of
Things just
course.
kind of
Like
came up, and
cost
but
of
like
living, man. That's what it
I
is,
think out
really.
of that whole 100 grand, man, I think maybe I got like to myself, like to, you know what I mean, to spend maybe the guts of like on the higher end. I'm thinking maybe 15 on the higher end, and the
Whoa.
rest was just flipping disappeared, man. And yeah, within a few months, that was flipping gone. That's why even by the time May came around, I was really pushing to get fights because I'm like, this flipping money is gold.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to start getting something going here. And and then as well, that kind of woke me up. I'm like, I mean, this is the most money I've ever spent, and it just disappeared out of nowhere. And so, you know, fighting like these bits of fights here and there for a little bit of money, just it will not work. So I need to get on the ball. And yeah, as I was doing that, like obviously, like I told you, until the time where I got them two calls on that same day, nothing was working out.
yeah. It's crazy. Like it was either a feast or a famine. It sounded like with stuff that was going on with you, because I was keeping a close eye of the situation. Obviously with Combatche as well. I had some communications with them and yourself, obviously, and I knew that David Martinez fight was set up twice. But then when it didn't happen, obviously, yeah, you need to kind of put yourself into a situation where you can fight at a more regular basis as well, which is totally understandable. But you were kind of in a situation too where you're kind of doing other things outside the mixed martial arts to kind of make ends meet as well, really, aren't you? You're doing, I think Graham had said you're doing a bit of landscaping and stuff like that on the podcast and stuff. So, that's what it was getting down to for you, really,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, yeah, because it came to a point then, like, where I couldn't get fights or nothing, and there was nothing happening, and I actually obviously had to live, like, you know what I mean. So I had to get a job, and luckily enough, there's a guy from the gym that, because I used to do landscaping before, right? And there's a guy in the gym, Shane Gray, that did landscape. I used to talk to him back then when I used to be doing it a few years ago, and he has his own company, And so I was like, here, Shane, can you take me on? He's like, yeah, definitely, man. And to be, and it came to a point, right, where, like, remember I was telling you, everything that whole year, everything just fell apart. It came to a point where, and I'm even talking about training, because I couldn't even like go training and stuff like that, because I needed to make money to
Of
like
course.
eat and stuff like
Yeah.
regular living kind of shit. Nothing was going on. But what made this whole thing so much worse, man, actually, just to keep kind of, just to continue, yeah, I hooked up with Shane Grain anyways, and started working with him. And yeah, I think it's nearly hitting like a year now. I'm working with him. But let me tell you this story to add in, because like, the thing is with landscaping, like, I love it. Do you know what I mean? It's not, I'm not knocking landscaping, but there was a point there where we were going to do a garden, like, we were going to do a job. And so, to tell you the story about this, yeah, 7 years previous, right? Um, I was signing a contract for KHK, right? And this was, we were going to be all in we were going to be in the salary. It was a big enough deal. Like, we had a little ceremony. It was me
Yeah.
and James Gallagher signing this thing, and we were going over to KHK, and it was a big enough deal. Like, you know what I mean? We were going to be paid to get trained. We were working for the Prince of Bahrain and stuff like that. It was a big enough deal, and my career was flying at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just newly pro, picked up from the world, from the world championships, which I had won, and this whole thing was going on, and I was prospect coming up, and it was all flipping roses, man. And so we were signing this thing, and then 7 years later, man, right? 7 years later, I'm sitting in this guy, like the guy that did the contracts. Graham, his name is actually as well. He trains at SPG. He's very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Um, and man, I was picking weeds out of this guy's garden, right? I remember thinking, mate, what is going on here? You know when you have kind of like what would you call it? Um, when
Like
you can, when something just clicks in your head, and you kind of feel like you're awake.
yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Like a premonition or something like that.
Yeah. Anyways, premonition, for lack of better terms. Yeah. So I was sitting there for a second. I think I picked the weed, and I was like, mate, how am I in this position? Do you know what I mean? Because you would think, right? After, like, you would think for me to be in that type of position, I'd be failing in what I do. You know what I mean? You think I'd be shit after getting beat. I'm just a nobody. But that just wasn't true. I was sitting there picking garden out of this guy flipping thing, where 7 years ago I was doing big things. But I was at a position where I was on a 5-fight winning streak, right? I keep saying this as well, but it's a big enough deal. Like, I had just been ranked on Bellator and hadn't lost since. I haven't lost. I've lost. I think I've lost one fight in my last 10 fights,
Yeah.
right? And I was on a 5-fight winning streak. I was at the winning like $100,000 tournament, and I was sitting there picking weeds out of a guy's garden. I was like, like is somebody playing a trick on me or something? It just didn't make any sense,
That's
because I was
crazy.
winning. Like, in what I did, I was winning. You would assume I was like some type of failure, but I was winning, man. I'm on a winning streak, and I'm a fighter, and I train out of SPG. I'm Conor McGregor's ex-sparring partner. I have all this other shit working out for me, but nothing is working out at the same time, and it just didn't add up. The only thing that actually was good at that time was the fact that I had this job, which I actually enjoyed. But at the time, I was I had done so much to have to not to rely on that. Do you know what I mean? Because if, like, say if I felt like I was a millionaire or whatever, I would still like to do a little bit of landscape, and it relaxes me. I just love doing all that stuff. It's weird. It'd be a hobby if it didn't. It have to be a job. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was sitting there thinking, man, this shit is crazy. Like, I shouldn't have to be here working to make a living flipping picking weeds out of gardens, um, because I need money to live. Well, I'm flipping winning in what I do. It's like being a good businessman. You're making all these business deals and shit, but just nothing is happening. It just broke still. It didn't make any sense. So it proper messed with my mind, man. And sitting here now, looking at the whole thing, man, I have to say, like, if I didn't have Shane Gray there for that to have to give me that job and to keep me going, man, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I was at the edge. I was on the edge a couple of times where I was like, man, I feel like everything like the because I was 31 years of age at that time, right? I
Yeah.
still am now, obviously, it's the same year. But I was sitting there thinking, when you when this comes, listen, right? I was sitting there, I was like, man, literally my whole life, everything I've worked for has led me to flipping being sitting here right now picking weeds out of a garden. And not that I'm shit, I'm winning and nothing has worked out. I was on you know what I mean? I was nearly about to get married, flipping the whole thing fell apart. My flipping dog died, my auntie died, everybody was flipping dying. My friends just all kind of left. Do you know what I mean? I was sitting there, had nobody. Like, obviously I couldn't go to the gym and stuff like that because I had to work. So that kind of stuff was at the back. And I was sitting there thinking, Matt, what's flipping going on here? Like, and that went on for a while because this was like a few months before Atten went on about this whole thing. And then when it does happen, it happens on the same day. I get the flipping two offers on the same day, which is crazy.
It's
But
nuts how
here, look,
things
I'm
work
gonna
out.
pause for a second because I want to go on there for a bit.
No, that's
But yeah, you don't know how things work out, but yeah,
it's
just
crazy,
crazy,
Frans.
man.
Like, I mean, how things have worked out. And first of all, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Not necessarily. Look, it's a credit to you and your mentality, to kind of get up and go and do that landscaping and trying to make ends meet. Obviously, sorry to hear stuff wasn't going well in your personal life, and condolences over losing your aunt as well. You said at the start of the interview, she was a woman who practically raised you as a younger man. Must have been a kind of a difficult thing to process on
Actually
top of
raised me,
everything
yeah.
else as well.
But the thing is, like, it was a whole year of this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I had no type of luck at all at anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So like, there's stuff I'm leaving out, man. But like, unbelievable year, like.
So
Um,
with look, whatever you feel comfortable about talking about, it's totally fine, and whatever you
yeah,
don't, it's
yeah, yeah.
totally fine as well. If you want to move on, we can actually talk about the actual process of making the decision. Right? You said you went from nothing to having two concrete offers and two very different paths that you could follow. One with the
Yeah.
PFL and the bantamweight tournament, the other obviously joining up with the Ultimate Fighter. At the time
Yeah.
when you were going to make, and we're talking about the latest season of the Ultimate Fighter now, the one that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler are going to be taking part on. Filming is happening right now as we speak.
Yeah.
At the time when the offers were made for you for the Ultimate Fighter, a lot of people might feel that it's a little bit crazy for you to get that offer, to turn down the opportunity to be on the season with Conor, fighting that tournament and then go on to the UFC. But I'm sure there's much more to the decision than that. At the time it was offered to you, Frans, the Ultimate Fighter, kind of, did you know that Conor was going to be a part of it at the very start, or at what stage of the negotiations was that kind of mentioned?
No, well, look, no, them details I don't think were part of it at the
Mm-hmm.
time. When I was in it, I don't think the whole Connor thing wasn't mentioned at all. So when I had made that decision initially, that wasn't an issue. But yeah, initially that wasn't an issue. So I had gone on to then be to say to the PFL, actually, yeah, I'm gonna go with you guys instead. And then so excuse me. And so when I actually got that the PFL contract, and I was reviewing it, and I had my lawyer reviewing it as well. Uh, um, so sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were waiting for. I was waiting to review that the PFL what's it called, contract. And then I get a call saying, here, Frans, actually, Connor is going to be coaching this season. And with you being, I mean, you might as well get on. I was like, okay, now I have to flip. I just told PFL I'm going to go with them. Now I have to turn them down, tell them I'm going back to Ultimate Fighter, which was what I told them in the first place I was going. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, how is this all going on? Like within a few weeks, like this was only a few weeks from the first time I found out. I got onto the Ultimate Fighter and all this, like within a space of a few days, actually, not even weeks. You know what I'm saying? And so I went to one day not having any offers, and then from that day on, I was literally, it was like I was in the middle. The Ultimate Fighter was one side, and PFL was one side, and I had to make a choice between the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was crazy. So when I found out that Connor was coaching and stuff like that, I was kind of like, you know what? Then it's kind of a no-brainer. Do you know what I mean? Then I'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
But at the time, it wasn't finalized. Like it wasn't finalized, and so it came to and it took ages, like getting a definite answer from anybody. So it came to a point then where the PFL was kind of getting frustrated, thinking, excuse me, thinking, here, look, we're giving you a bit of leeway here, but it's taken too long. Like we need to find out whether you're in or you're out. And so I was just waiting, biting my time as long as possible to just kind of take the choice out of my hands, just kind of leaving it to whatever works. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, 31 years picking weeds, it just kind of seemed like every decision I've ever made ever has been the wrong one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
having this big ass decision to make now at this stage was just, you know what I mean? It just kind of seemed unreal, and I just wasn't prepared to make it. Because like I said, you look at it in a way where the UFC is the UFC and the opportunities that come from that. And everybody's telling me about legacy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Once you're UFC, you've been a UFC fighter, and then that's that. But then the PFL is this organization coming out flipping swinging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Offering big deals. What's it called? Getting all the ex-UFC fighters on. Like one thing that got me was Pettis saying, "Oh, I was with UFC for whatever couple of years, and I made more money with the 1 year I was with the PFL." And then I was listening to the what's his? I'm snapping now that I'm forgetting his name. Obviously, my head is gone.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what's the guy that just won the PFL featherweight?
Oh, Brendan
Do you
Loughnane.
know his name?
Yeah, Brendan Loughnane, is it?
Loughnane, yes,
Yeah.
yes, Brendan Loughnane, yeah. I listened to one of his interviews, man, and he was just saying about explaining how the whole his journey with the PFL and the whole thing, and I was kind of like, that sold it for me. That sold it for me. You know what I mean? And the whole fact that he mentioned the fact that like when the season starts, you're active. You're coming out of a fight and you have to get ready for your next one. And I was like, man, this is what I've been looking for my whole career, and I haven't found an organization that'd be able to give me that. Because you mean I'm always waiting ages in between fights, and every time I go into anywhere, I always say here to the organization, I always tell them, please keep me active. I want to be as active as possible. And it seems like this is what is going to be like. And obviously, and now I know I'm fighting in July, and then it's going to be September, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm fighting in pretty quick succession, which is what I've always wanted. So I can't wait for that. And so listening to his interview totally sold me on to the PFL. And but we're still waiting to see about whether is Connor definitely coaching it or not. And I just couldn't take the chance of saying to the PFL, wait up, and then them getting mad and saying, right, forget about it. And then the whole other thing not working out. So I was like, here, look, I'll just sign this thing, because you know what I mean, we're not sure if Connor is going to end up coaching this thing, and that might all not work out. And
You
so I
can't you
signed it.
can't really you can't really deal in maybes and ifs or buts really
Exactly.
when it comes to that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. And that's what there was a load of that, like in between, because you know what I mean, big decisions were having to be made, and I understand they take time, but it's just the time I didn't have personally. You know what I'm saying? So I went with the PFL anyway, and then literally the very next day, it's all out everywhere. Connor's coaching, Connor's coaching the Ultimate Fighter. You know, in this, I'm like, yeah, flipping typical. I wasn't even shocked at that stage. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, of course, that's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Was
Of
there
course,
was there a moment of regret,
so
Frans?
yeah.
Was there a moment of regret when it all kind of was set in stone that Connor was there, or are you? You're obviously happy with the decision that you made, but you know it's that was a chance for me looking at you. I think
no, I definitely wouldn't say regret.
I feel that you would have been successful in the Ultimate Fighter, and I feel that you would have had a right good chance of winning out that tournament, given that looking at the cast that has been released. But you're also dealing with the Ultimate Fighter contract that you would have been facing with after the fact, which isn't all that much. And I feel that a man like you in your position at 31, you have to be making those moves where you're going to be looking for a little bit more of financial security. And time might have been against you to do that inside the UFC, if you ask me, as opposed to, you know, a concrete offer for the PFL, plus the opportunity to fight multiple times a year too, which suits your kind of mentality towards kind of professional mixed martial arts. You like fighting regularly. You like to be training regularly for fights, because you've talked about having like little bit of dips in motivation to train when you're not scheduled to fight as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I just want to go back to what you said there. Is like, it's not regret. I didn't regret it at all finding out that Connor was on the team, because like you did say, because I had set it in my head to just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let it happen, because no matter what, it's just gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Or it's not gonna happen. So when that happened, I was like, yeah, I was kind of glad that, like, you know what I mean, I didn't have to make a choice at the end of the day. But after answering that, I'm at the kind of losing your question there, anyways.
Yeah, no, it's no worries. I was just thinking, like, just maybe this kind of get to the end decision. What it solely boiled down to was just
True, yeah,
a more concrete offer from PFL, like.
Yeah, 100%. Because to get where I would have actually wanted to get to, it would have been a longer process going through the UFC and the Ultimate Fighter route than it's seeming to with the PFL. Like, you know what I mean? Because sitting as I am right now with the PFL, I have an opportunity to be a millionaire in the next 24 months. And that cannot be true. That can't be said with the UFC. You know what I'm saying right now?
Big time.
So yeah, it seemed like a no-brainer, and yeah, we made the decision, and I'm happy with it, man. I can't wait to get going with it.
Yeah, like
with all that being said, it's still flipping ages away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you said to me. I was like saying congratulations and fair play when the news kind of broke, when we were kind of setting up the interview, and you know, you have that mentality. Yeah, well, there's still a little bit to go yet. So are you kind of waiting for something to go wrong or something like that? Is that why you're kind of had that mentality? Or
look, to be honest, after the year I have, man, after the year I've had, I just who knows what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the kind of thing. I'm like, this is so far away. So much stuff could happen in that space of time. So, you know what I mean? I'm gonna hold my excitement to a minimum, whilst at the same time working my ass off. Do you know what I mean? To make sure that when the time comes, if it does come, I'm just totally prepared. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm at a stage now where you're gonna have to kill me to beat me. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm fighting for my flipping life here. So obviously you could say that about anybody. Do you know what I mean? But it's a different thing now.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I have a different mindset now.
Not everybody has been through the struggles you haven't been through. Not everybody has been through the struggles and the doubt and everything that's gone on with you over. Like, obviously everybody has to deal with certain levels of struggle, but from what I've been hearing, it's been a pretty crazy last year for you. But like, the grass is always greener, not always greener on the other side, but it has luckily enough turned out well for you. You have this opportunity. You're looking to go in there on July 8th. And kind of start your campaign in the bantamweight tournament. the original European Series is going to be a competition for €100,000. That will, if you win that, that will qualify you for the $1 million tournament next year in PFL. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I've been hearing, and that's what has sold me. Like I said, like throughout this whole thing, you know what I mean? We've been going back and forth and things. Information is a bit jumbled up, but that's the hope. You know what I mean? That's the plan. And anyways, because obviously the bantamweight division is only kind of new with the PFL, and you know, a few things have changed in the space of time. But that's definitely the plan. Like that's definitely what we're going for, is win this one, and then next year the $1 million tournament is going ahead. Yeah.
So last week we had the announcement of the bracket. A couple of familiar faces, obviously Dominique Wooding, who you faced off against before. When you've seen everybody else in the bracket, obviously you're in it to win it. You're going to come in there with that winning mentality. What do you think of the other fighters that are in the bracket in the bantamweight tournament with yourself?
Well, I only know obviously Dominic. I know. I think his name's Koschev. Mandy's husband. He used to train with us. One of the guys. I know him. And there's another, I think, Swedish guy that used to train with us there. But other than them, I don't, I don't know any of the lads. But yeah, that's
Has there
who I
been
know.
any
But
discussions being made with yourself and PFL over who you're going to be facing off in the first round or anything like that?
no, man, not yet. Like I said, it's so far away that all them kind of details, like I don't really need to know who I'm fighting until like a week out or whatever, really. So, it's not something I'm super pushed on. But regardless, it's not something that has been mentioned at all. The matchups, but to be honest, I seen a little poster there, and they were showing like the bantamweight division, and the way it was like one line of lads on top and one line of lads on the bottom. And I actually, I was right on top of Dominic, so I actually thought that was the matchups.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, no way, but that wasn't the case. Obviously, the matches weren't set out, but yeah, no, we don't have that info yet.
So what's the mentality like now, Frans, for you? Obviously, you have June 8th or July 8th as the target date. Has kind of everything that happened before now, and then obviously making the decision, signing the contract, has that kind of lit a bit more of a fire under you? You kind of started your training camp? You know, you talked about it previously, struggling to find the motivation to train when you're not competing. I know that might not be as big as an issue for you right now, but have you been training much over the last year? Have you had the motivation to kind of get to the stage like this where you're going to be going in there fully prepared, obviously, after your camp? But do you still have that struggle in between fights when you don't have a set date to kind of get motivated to go in and train?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, but it's a different thing now, because now it's nothing to do with motivation to train. It's the fact that, like, do I have enough money saved from doing the work to just go a few weeks without training? And so far, no, that hasn't been true. I haven't had to. I had to keep working. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, even with that being said, ranked Bellator, flipping fight winning streaks, like 18 professional fights. To this, I've never had a bleeding sponsorship. What's that about? You know what I mean? How's that happen? So no, I I haven't really started my camp yet, but like you said, I'm used to that. You know what I mean? I can just start and go. But now that I have a date set, your brain just different. You know what I mean? Your day to day is just different, knowing that you have it, even though it's like 6 months away, less obviously. But even though it's 4 months away or whatever, it is. It's different, man. I feel like I have a fight, and I want to get ready. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's that far away, I am. I can't wait to get in there, man. You know what I mean?
Do you
The
feel
thing
even
hasn't started yet.
Do you feel, Franz, even though, like you said, you're almost hitting veteran status right now with your record,
Mm.
18 fights, do you feel that at this stage of your career, are you kind of looking at it as a fresh start for you? Kind of to get back in, get to where you belong, and obviously start earning some big money as well.
Yeah, man. I feel like as well that it's a new. I'm like, to be honest, I feel like I'm a different human altogether now. Like my mind is flipping. It's different, man. So I mean, so I feel like I don't. I feel like I'm gonna be a different. I feel like when I go into, you know what I mean, that whole thing with fighting and stuff like that. I feel like I'm just gonna be different, man. You know, so I don't know what that is going to look like, but it's definitely way more dangerous than the last me. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to be handling everything, but it's I'm excited and scared for whoever is in my flipping path. In any ways, you know what I mean? Because I'm throwing mercy out the window, man.
100%. Being in and a part of SBG for the longest time. I mean, you stepped foot in there, I believe, in 2012 in the Long Mile Road when they were situated over there. And obviously, you've experienced SBG at that stage. You've seen the rise of the gym, obviously, with Connor and everybody else, including yourself, who was coming up along with him as well. To kind of after that, and now where we're at with SBG right now, which I feel, SBG is in a real good place with the level of talent that's there. Everyone is fighting at like a high level and in different organizations. Obviously, you're going to be joining your teammates Will Fleury and Nathan Kelly in the PFL, but we have fighters in Bellator and, obviously Connor himself in the UFC, maybe with a few other fighters in along the line as well. How do you feel and being a part of SBG right now, and how does it compare to maybe previous years when the gym was kind of rising and getting the name up? I feel SBG is in a real good place right now and has a lot of good talent coming out of there.
Yeah, 100%. Like I kind of, you get to feel that it's always kind of been like that. You know what I mean? But we just have more of people, you know what I mean? We just have more active fighters now. Like the pro class is packed, you know what I'm saying? We have people fighting every flipping week, you know what I mean? It's seeming like, and so yeah, no, it's amazing because you constantly have people to support, and you have, you know what I mean? It's there's just always something happening. Like, do you get what I mean? And
Yeah.
obviously with Nathan and Will as well being in the PFL, and us, obviously us three now are in the PF. You know what I mean? It's just awesome because I've gotten really close with Will in the last like little while, and Nathan as well. So it's yeah, no, it's working out, man. Yeah, the gym is doing big things. Yeah, for sure.
And no, it's great to see Will getting the opportunity personally. I've had spoken to him on a few occasions as well. A guy
Oh, stop.
who's been through is
Yeah, man.
fantastic, and it must give you, and even with Nathan Kelly, a phenomenal debut performance in the PFL. And then after that performance, we see PFL getting behind him. We see these little video clips
Mm.
of him, and it must give you a great deal of confidence knowing that you can go in and you can do the exact same thing, and you're going to get the backing and you're going to get the support from PFL, and you're going to be actually given the route to succeed. And to me, it kind of feels like you've never had that in your career so far. Obviously, the stint with Brave and you fought for the title there. Bellator, I felt that you were probably wrongfully cut from there on a winning streak somewhat as well. But, all of those things are in the rear view mirror. Looking ahead, everything looks fairly promising for you in the future, Frans. And, the success of Will, the success of Nathan, that must give you some great deal of motivation as well.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Like, um, no, definitely. Because even like even with that, like me fighting in Berlin, like obviously Nathan is fighting in March, but he wants to jump onto the Berlin card as well.
Yeah.
He was like, "I might as well. There's 3 Irish fighters there. Why don't they put me in and all that?" Do you know what I mean? And and yeah, so like I can't wait to get the journey started. You know what I mean? I can't wait to get the whole thing going, to actually experience the PFL. You know what I mean, personally. And so yeah, man, it's an exciting prospect that I have to look forward to here.
100%. I won't keep you too much longer, Frans. I really appreciate the time. It's been a great chat and everything like that. Obviously, talking about the rise of fighters in SBG, one of those fighters is your brother, Kenny Mukahana. I just spoke to him actually before we recorded this. He's getting prepared to fight on Bellator this day next week, actually on Saturday, against Craig McIntosh. How proud of you are you, number one, of your brother and the progress that he's been making? Because it's been a sensational start of his professional career. 4 wins, 4 finishes. And, you know, I was talking to him about some of the guidance that he's been getting from you. He spoke to me, Kenny did, in the interview, just about getting used to fighting on that big stage, fighting in the Tree Arena and that crowd. You're a guy who actually experienced that in your very first professional mixed martial arts fight at BAMA, if I want to believe, at the Tree Arena. I think I was there.
That's true, yeah.
As a fan. Like, how proud of you, how he's been handling stuff, the start of his professional career, and you know, he seems to be making progress upon progress upon progress every time we see him in there.
Yeah. No, like, I'm super proud of my little brother, like, do you know what I mean? But mate, he's on his own journey. Do you know what I mean? Like, any type of like he just does his own thing. Like, he started MMA by himself. He's obviously, as much as it would kind of just be a no-brainer that I'm giving him all this advice and I'm guiding him. That's not true. He's doing his own thing, like, as his own man, and he's going. Obviously, I'm there any chance I have, and you know what I mean. But he's on his own journey, man, and he's doing his own thing. We just happen to be brothers. But like even with the fact that I'm a striker, he's a ground guy. Do you know what I mean? We started in total different gyms. We're together now, but by the time we got to train together, you know what I mean? His trajectory was already on one path, and mine was already on a different path. Um, but no, like, he's doing amazing. Like, but one great thing I'll say, right? I think he's been on my corner maybe like twice, and I've been in his corner maybe like 3 times. And so far, with each other being in each other's corners, we haven't gone out the first round. You know, it is not awesome. So
Nice.
we're gonna try and keep that going. But yeah, no, he's doing fantastic, man. And he's going to be very problematic in that division. And yeah, like, Frans Mlambo is his own thing, but Kenny Mukanwana is going to be doing his own thing as well. You know what I mean? But I don't want me to be too attached to kind of his thing, really, because he's done it all by himself. To be honest, I'm just going to give credit where credit is due.
100%. No, fair play to you for that as well. Are you more nervous to watch him fight, or more nervous to fight yourself?
It's not nice, because like that's when at them times is when I get the fact where, because we used to think when Ma was bleeding, drama queen, you know what I mean, going on a mad one like 3 weeks out of fight, and she's like, oh, don't be fighting at all, like, what are you talking about? But no, it's horrible, man. I mean, the whole thing, like, going through everything. But to be honest, I do have to say, after the last fight, seeing how he handled everything, my whole that whole nervous thing is left now. Do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of like me at the start, where, you know what I mean, when you're starting fighting, you're kind of nervous, and after a while, it kind of goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but before, like, I remember I used to couldn't relax, which is weird, because like when I'm fighting, I'm super relaxed. You know what I mean? Overly relaxed. So watching his fights, used to be super nervous, like, and but I think that's gone now as well. Like, after seeing how he handled his whole last camp and the stage he was on, and he did very well. So yeah,
Brilliant.
that's where I'm at with that. Yeah.
Brilliant. No, fair play. And no, it's great to see the two of you kind of rising through and creating your own stories, as you said. Frans, I won't take up any more of your time, man. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to speak with you. I obviously sorry to hear about all of the bad stuff that did happen to you in 2022, and obviously losing family members and everything is very difficult to have to deal with, along with everything else that was going on. I'm glad that, you know, you've turned the corner and 2023 is looking more promising for you. Really looking forward to seeing you getting in there and starting your PFL journey on July 8th in Berlin. And all the best to you, Frans. And I'm sure we'll be in touch. We'll be talking before, during, and after that fight as well. So all the best to you. All the best on your PFL journey, Frans. And thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. But here, I have to say again, man, right? Flipping respect and shout out to Shane Gray. He actually runs Leitrim Jiu Jitsu there. So if you're in Leitrim, get down there and get some good lessons. But yeah, shout out to him, man, because it'd be a total different story for me right now if he wasn't around. You know what I'm saying? So Shane Gray, you the man.
Deadly. Love it. Love to hear it. Frans,
Yeah.
when you're not boxing noses, you're doing a bit of landscaping, you're pulling a few weeds, you're good at both sides of things. But credit to you, man. You went down there, you made it happen for yourself one way or another, inside or outside the cage. Things are looking up now, so fair play. Looking forward to seeing you in July on PFL, and I'll talk to you soon, Frans.
It's been a pleasure, my man. Peace out, yeah?
Take it easy. Thanks, man.
All right. Peace.